Hey guys, it's Savannah with the Holistic Dog Groomer, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about matting and why it has to be shaved. I also have some demos and will introduce you to some of my friends over here. One of the main questions people have about dog or cat grooming is, why does my matted pet have to be shaved and why can't the groomer just brush it out? So I'm going to cover some of the answers to those questions for you today. To start with, I just want to tell you a little bit about what matting is. Matting starts as tangles in the dog or cat's fur that when they're not brushed out properly, those tangles start to bunch together and eventually they become so large that they create a mat. It's the same as if you didn't brush your hair every day. Eventually it would tangle and it would get more and more matted. Another question I often get about matted pets is, why is it that my pet's fur looks and feels fine, but the groomer says that it's matted and it has to be shaved? Many owners think that maybe it's just a lazy groomer and shaving is a quicker way to groom their dog or cat. But in actuality, the mats are so close to the skin that when you pet the fur or you just look at the fur, you cannot see the mats or even really feel them. I do have a blog post on my website that goes into a lot more questions and answers about matting. The main thing I want to get to in this video is actually showing you some matted fur, what it looks and feels like, and why it does need to be shaved off. I never want to call out any of my clients, so that is why I have saved a few examples. I didn't want to actually film on a pet as I was grooming them and showing you these things because I don't want to make anybody feel bad. So I'm going to start with just kind of holding up the matted pieces that I have. Then I'm going to bring the camera and shoot down onto the table so I can kind of show you what dematting would look like and also what shaving would look like. So first I'll start with these smaller pieces. This piece right here is from a Shih Tzu cross. When you look at this side, this would be what is on top of the skin. It does still look long and fluffy, you can't really tell. But on this other side, you can see, I hope the camera picks this up, that it's very clumped together and it's very tight. I can hardly even pull this mat apart. Now this, I made sure to keep track of where I got this off of the dog's body. This was actually behind the dog's ear. Friction areas on dogs and cats are the first place for matting to occur. For example, behind ears, bum and tail, the inside of legs, armpits especially, they will mat first, and then if they're not brushed out properly, those mats spread to the rest of the body. Now some fur types are more prone to matting as well. If you want to prevent matting on your pet, you have a few options. If you're wanting to keep them long and fluffy, you have to brush at home with the proper techniques. Your groomer should be able to show you those proper techniques for your specific dog's coat type. Sometimes groomers are very busy, so they may not be able to show you that day, but if you could just ask them nicely to have a little extra time at the end of your dog or cat's next appointment to show you, I'm sure they would be happy to show you those techniques because we want to prevent pets from getting matted. Next is this larger piece that came from a mini doodle. This was off of a body, and as you can see here on the front side, it does look pretty good, especially if this was all over the dog, you were looking at it from further away. This doesn't look too matted, but you turn it around and you can see that all the fur that's close to the skin is all clumped together. Now this I can pull apart a little bit easier, but imagine brushing all of this out all over the entire dog's body. First of all, that would take a long time. It might not even be possible, and it would be very, very painful for the pet. In a second, I am going to show you what dematting looks like when we do demat small areas and why it can't be done when a dog is completely matted. I will also show you, lots of pets don't like being brushed, and they put up a fight with their owners, so their owners will sometimes use, say, human hair brushes, and I'm going to disinfect it after I do this example. But this is not a proper brush for any type of dog. If they were to go over this coat and brush it, as you can see, it actually does go through pretty nice, but they have no idea that underneath it's still matted. Where I brushed there, it took out none of the mats. So you really do have to have the proper tools to brush your dog. Another option to keep your pets mat-free is to bring them to the groomer more often. If you're wanting to keep them long and fluffy, you either brush them every day, sometimes at home, bring them to the groomer more often, or your pet just needs to be kept in a shorter trim. Now, you may be asking yourself, if I'm fine with my dog or cat being in a very short trim, why is it a problem if I let them get matted? There is health implications of letting your dog or cat get matted. It can block their areas where they go to the bathroom. If there's any sores that are trapped underneath the mats, they can get even worse, causing a bad infection. Sometimes mats grow over the ear canal. It can cause bad infections. Also, shaving off that matted fur isn't always easy, which you will see in a second. It increases their risk of getting cut. Sometimes there's irritation after being shaved, scratching and head shaking after shaving off extremely matted ears especially can get hematomas. Really, no matter what kind of haircut you're okay with for your dog or cat, you want to prevent this matting. So the last example that I'm going to hold up for you guys before I bring the camera down here is this very big one that I had it sitting in the corner of my van waiting for today, and it just looked like a little puppy sitting on the floor because it's so big. This is from a larger size doodle, and as you can see, this is very big. It's from part of his body, and once again, on this side, it actually looks okay. Looks like maybe it just needs a good bath and brush. But on this other side, it's all connected with these mats, completely pelted. There is absolutely no way a groomer could brush this out. Okay, so I've got you guys at a new angle. I'm just holding the camera. I'll try to make it not shaky for you guys. But I'm going to show you what DeMatting looks like if we did try to attempt this DeMatting, and what DeMatting of smaller areas looks like. Now, for these three hair types, usually what I suggest at home for people to use for brushes is a slicker brush, and a metal comb. Now, slicker brush, they are kind of pokey, and I know a lot of people don't like to use them. That's why they'll try the human hair brushes, and that just doesn't work at all. The technique for slicker brush is a pat and pull. So you're not dragging it across their skin, giving them irritation or brush burn. Now the key with the metal comb is that to make sure your dog or cat is tangle free, you have to get the comb from the skin up all the way through. Now with this matting, that is not possible at all. This comb is going to get caught in this. It would not brush that through. So for groomers, they have DeMatting tools. This is a multi-blade DeMatting tool. You can also get some that just have the one blade to split up mats and then slowly brush and comb it out. But I'm going to try to set up the camera here and get an angle of what it would look like if I was to try to demat all of this matting. This is the best angle that I can find because I don't have a tripod right now, so we're going to do our best. Now, as I'm going to try to demat this fur here, I want you to keep in mind that as I'm pulling on this, this is attached to the dog's skin. So every pull is pulling on their skin and causing discomfort to the dog. So say I already tried my slicker brush, I already tried to comb it out, and I can comb through this stuff, but I'm not getting through the whole thing. Again, keep in mind, this is attached to the dog's body. Next, we're going to move to my DeMatting comb. So basically, these are just little blades that you put in, pull through, and it helps break apart that mat. So let's try it on this. It's really getting stuck on there. You know what, it is kind of breaking up a little bit because it's not attached to the dog's body, and I'm able to poke these little prongs through. But as I'm poking through right now, just imagine, the dog's body is on the other side of this. So we're not really making it through any of this. And mind you, this dog was completely matted all over. It needed a very short blade to get through this. this would be very painful. So this is a great example of why your dog cannot be dematted. Now let me show you what shaving mats looks like. Okay, so here's a close-up of that golden doodle pelt that I held up before. I don't know if the camera picked it up with the lighting, but as you can see, it looks pretty good. Pretty good on this side. Not so good and fun on this side. So, say the table is the dog's body, and this pelt is attached to their body. Now, how shaving matting works is we start with a blade. This hose right here just sucks up all the hair for me, if you're wondering. It sucks it up as I'm clipping, and it keeps my blades nice and cool, so I never burn a dog. Clipper vacs are the best. So I usually start with probably a 5 blade and see if that'll make it through. So I have to find a hole in the fur, get under, and if the 5 blade won't get between the mat and the skin, that's how shaving mats works. You have to find a short enough blade that will fit in between the matting and the skin. So I try a 5 blade. That doesn't work. I switch it out to a 7, which is one step down. I try a 7. Usually I can get through matting with a 7, but sometimes if it's extremely bad, I have to go to a 10. I used a 7 and in some places a 7 reverse for this pelt. I really do not like to go any shorter than a 10. That's when I would send the dog to a vet, as it may cause a lot of irritation if you went any shorter than a 10. So what this looks like is I would slowly chip away, get a little bit up. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera and show you guys. So I'd fold over this mat. Then I'd slowly chip away, getting space in between the mat and the skin. Fold it up more. So you're slowly exposing that skin. Now the hard part for groomers is when you are shaving, you can't see what you're shaving into underneath here. So shaving a dog or a cat for groomers is not easier than doing a normal cut on them. It's very stressful because we have to go slow to try to not cut them. And how do I know that a little further back here that there isn't a mole that I might accidentally cut or shave right off? So that is why shaving a matted pet, this matted, it's more humane to just shave them and start new. Okay, so all of that being said, if a dog or cat does have small tangles or small areas of light matting, they can possibly be dematted with a dematting comb and some extra conditioner and some other techniques that us groomers have. If a dog comes to me and only their armpits are matted, because that can be very common with some dogs, I will shave out just their armpits and try to blend it in with the rest of their body. I won't shave them naked just because those parts are matted. I do try to do my best to do what's right for the pet and also what the owner wants, but it is humanity before vanity in the grooming world, and I believe that's how it should be. If you want even more information about matting, I will link my blog post down below where I answer a lot more questions in depth. If you want another video on the subject, just let me know. Thanks so much for watching till the end of this video, and I hope you learned something new today. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please just leave them in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. Thanks guys, see you next time!